Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 211 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. I am super excited that you are here today, and we're going to talk about, is blogging dead? A subject that I talk about a little bit and that people often ask me, should I do a podcast or should I do a blog? So let's have a bit of a chat about blogging. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making my podcast one of those choices. I would really love to get to know you a little bit better, though, and one of the ways that you can do that is by taking a screenshot of you listening to this episode and sharing it on your socials, and of course tagging me. You can pretty much find me at Jen Donovan on all the major platforms of Facebook, Instagram, and of course LinkedIn. Be super cool to get to know you a little bit more as well. So don't forget, of course, if you are interested, there is a little bit of a freebie that goes with this one. So you can find, of course, that freebie and the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/211, as in 211. Before we get started on today's episode, though, how did you go with last week's episode? It was all about how to beat the algorithm when it comes to growing your business. I've had some really great conversations in my DMs and in my emails about the algorithm and how much it drives you batty, but how my episode kind of made you think about the algorithm in a different way, and that you are going to give my method a bit of a try as far as beating the algorithm goes with your social media and marketing. And of course, again, before we start today's episode, I just wanted to, because it's the start of a new month, I'm recording this in late September, early October. And of course, my October calendar will be out by the time this episode goes out. So basically, it's a calendar for October that has content prompts for every single day of the month. It can really help you if you are feeling overwhelmed or in a rut or plateaued with your social media content. It's a great little resource that I do once a month. So if you are interested in that, go to the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/211, or you can go directly to it and you can find it at bit.ly/Jen, JENN, Oct, as in October, and Cal, as in calendar, JENNOCTCAL. So it might be quicker for you to go to the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/211 and download it, print it out, look at it, and really start implementing a great marketing strategy into all you do with your content. But on to today's episode. Like I said earlier, we are talking about blogging. Is blogging dead? That's like something I get asked quite often. And I don't think blogging's dead at all in 2022. And that's why I wanted to dedicate a podcast episode to blogging. Now, full disclosure, I blog once a week as well as do a podcast once a week. If you haven't read my blogs, then I would be really happy for you to go and have a look at the absolutely huge library that there are there of blogs. So you can just go to my website at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/blog, and you can catch up on all the great reading over there. So let's get into it. Blogging, the good, the bad, and of course, the ugly. You've probably heard the saying in marketing, the money is in your list. And this isn't your to-do list. That's way too long. But in fact, your email list, your client list. Those people are the people who have loved you enough, who you've provided enough value to, that they will give up their prized email address so that they can stay in touch with you. And this really is a bond between customer and business owner, and it really needs to be valued at a beautiful relationship that you can have with the people on your email list, which is why I've talked about providing enough value. Like, this is a value exchange, email address for something quite valuable. And of course, a blog is a really great way to stay in touch with your list, to communicate with them on a regular basis. And it's a great attraction strategy to build your list as well. And by attraction strategy, we talk about attraction, we talk about nurture, conversion, and then, of course, ascension. So that is the 4 things that we talk about when we are looking at a customer's journey. And of course, blogs can sit in the attraction stage, a really good reason for them to sign up, but also in the nurture stage of business, which of course is a really good way to stay in touch with them and letting them know what's going on in business and providing really great value for them. Blogging originally involved personal web blogs. Did you have one? Or personal web logs, I should say. Did you have one? Did you have it was almost like a personal diary. It wasn't a marketing tool, but people would blog. My gorgeous assistant who works with me in my business, Lee, shout out to you, Lee, who has Lee Longmire & Co. She does a bit of my background work for me. I remember she had a personal blog, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. It was such a great way because our kids are, in their 20s, or at least her eldest and my eldest are in their 20s now. And it was a really great way of staying up to date with what she was doing with her children. I loved it. So she was my experience of a personal web log. I never had one. But of course, like I said, it was really a personal journey, not a personal journal, not a marketing tool. But of course, with most internet innovations, us small business owners soon see the marketing potential of having a blog, and so it all took off basically from there. So why should you have a blog? Well, there's a couple of reasons why I think you should have a blog, and if you're not quite sure or you've never considered it, sit with these. Sit with these as I talk about why I think you should have a blog. So blogs are social and allow reader interaction and engagement. Blogs are great through social media, as it gives the reader the ability to comment and have discussions with either the author or, of course, other people that are reading it, other commenters as well. Search engines love new content. I think if you're a small business owner and you don't know that, you've been living under a rock. Goodness me. Oh, my speech today. I do apologize. So search engines love new content. And as a result, blogging is such a great search engine optimization tool, an SEO tool. So you can see, because if you're blogging regularly, then you are updating your content regularly. Blogging provides also an easy way for you to keep your clients and your customers up to date with what's going on and providing them tips and tricks, and of course, really great free value. The more the customer comes to your blog, the more likely they are to consume and buy what it is that you're selling. So again, we're talking about relationship and community building here. The fourth one, a blog allows you to build trust and rapport with your prospects and show your expertise in your field. Not only can you show off what you know and build on that expertise and that credibility, but people will again have the opportunity to comment and interact with you because they are getting to know you and your company, which of course then just spirals around to that building of know, like, and trust factors. You can see, I guess from my point of view, blogging and podcasting have a lot of the same traits and are done for very similar reasons, the reasons that I've just mentioned. So for me, they probably take a similar amount of time to create, but if you're not techie or you don't like the sound of your voice, then blogging might be more for you. But just on that, a little caveat on that, can I just say that I don't like the sound of my own voice? And in fact, I've said many times on this podcast and to friends and family and clients that when I listen to my own podcasts, which I do most weeks because I've had a few instances where I've uploaded the wrong podcast or I haven't adjusted the sound correctly. So I always just make sure I go on and just listen to the first few minutes of any podcast that I put out there in the world, just to make sure that I've done the right thing, because like I said, I've made some mistakes before. But like I was saying, I don't think it sounds like me. I don't like the sound of my own voice. And yet when I listen to my own podcast, I don't think it actually sounds like me. So don't let the sound of your voice be the only thing that stops you from podcasting. But we are talking about blogging today, but I'm just putting it out there. In fact, there's a couple of really popular podcasts that I listen to every now and then. And the voices are terrible, but the content is so great that I continue to listen to them. So don't let the sound of your voice be the only thing that stops you from starting a podcast. But anyway, we are again talking about blogging today. There are, of course, a few downsides to blogging, not the least of which is time. Blogging takes a lot of time. For blogs to be effective at SEO and engaging readers, they have to be updated regularly, and the success from blogging comes from having people return time and time again to read what's new. And this means generating content at least weekly, if not more often. And of course, that takes time. Of course, blogging at least weekly means creating a lot of content, consistently coming up with topics and ideas to write about. And I get that, because blogging and podcasting once a week sometimes does my head in. And that's why I've been asking at the end of my podcast episodes, if you would like a topic, please let me know, because otherwise I have to come up with these topics. Yes, I have a really big list, but I would love to hear from you what topics you would like me to talk about on the podcast. And of course, on the blogs as well. So if you've ever thought about starting a blog and ever wondered how to go about doing that, how do you actually start a blog, then I would really love for you to check out my little freebie that I have, and it's called How to Start a Blog, and it's basically a 22-point checklist. You will find that at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/22 checklist. So socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/22 checklist is where you will find that freebie. Of course, come to the show notes and it will be there as well. There are many directions you can go when you have a blog up and going, but just know this one little thing. You may feel overwhelmed, especially at the beginning, and this is super normal. When it comes to starting a blog, there is a steep learning curve, but just don't give up. Push through that overwhelm, because you know you are going to create amazing content for your audience who are going to love what it is that you have to say. And of course, you will build your expertise in the field as well. And then, of course, hopefully that will lead to more sales and more profitability. All of us have been in the spot where we start something new and it's overwhelming. We just need to make sure that we know the goal, we know why we're doing the goal, and push through. If you've got a blog already, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, well, technically, Jen, I've actually got a blog. Then for you, it's all about promotion. And if the money is in the list, then you need to be using your value-adding podcast to build that list. Of course, don't forget to share it on your social platforms and share it more than once. I think I've disclosed a few times on this podcast and in conversations that I repurpose all my podcasts and all my blogs. So I might do up a blog, for instance, and it'll get published this week, and then it's rescheduled to be published, or not published, but repurposed 3 months' time, 6 months' time, 9 months' time, 12 months' time. So we have these rolling content schedules going, so that if someone misses the blog this week, it doesn't mean that it's gone forever. There is those other opportunities to keep tapping in to my audience. And of course, your audience always grows. So there's always new people coming in all the time and other people leaving. So that's why repurposing is such a good idea, and sharing it more than once is such a good idea. And frankly, if only between 2 and 5% of your audience is seeing your posts on social media organically, then repurposing your blog at a different time on a different day is almost certainly going to be seen by a different audience. But just don't post. There are lots of other ways to promote your blog on social media, such as clickable links in your headers or your banners on social, pinning it to the top of your page or your group, using Facebook Lives or general video to promote it, using Facebook and Instagram stories and reels to promote it, and having clickable links in your bios as well is a really great idea. Not something you can do easily on Instagram, given you need a bit of a link tree of some description, but still you can do it on Facebook for sure. And another really great place for promotion that's often forgotten is your email signature. Like, how many emails do you send a day? Have a link, but remember to always change it. Have a link to a specific blog, just not your blog page, at the bottom of your email. Now, that could be pure gold if you are emailing your ideal clients often within your business. Only about 1% of users on the internet create content online. 1%. So that means there's 99% of people on the internet are there to consume content, not to create content. So by blogging, you actually stand out from the pack when it comes to your content. You can obviously show your expertise that I've mentioned a few times and connect with people who might never have come across you otherwise, except for the fact that you did a really great blog on a topic that they are super interested in. Those relationships can prove invaluable to your business. Might not always end up in direct sales, but we're always looking for people to refer business to us or to pass on a blog that they think someone else might be interested in, or a podcast or something like that, or a partnership or a collaboration. All these things can come from blogging. For those still aiming to start a blog, I will leave you today with the words of Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey. My goodness me, my words are not so good today. So anyway, I will leave you with the words of Oprah Winfrey. Do the one thing you think you cannot do. Fail at it and try again. Do better the second time. The only people who never tumble are those who never mount the high wire. This is your moment. Own it. I heard that recently and I've written it on a piece of paper, stuck it in my office, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear at that particular time. So I wanted to share that with you. You know, you've all heard the saying, or maybe you haven't, fail faster in business. Stop trying to be perfect. Just do it. Fail at it, try again, and do better the second time. If you want to chat about starting a blog, or if you have one and you want it to work better for you in your business as far as where you put it within your funnels or your nurture sequences, then let's have a bit of a chat. You can book a discovery call with me at bit.ly, so bit.ly, discover with Jen. And we can, of course, have a look at what would be best for you and how we could get you best blogging. Don't forget, of course, that little freebie that I've got, which you can find at socialmediamarketing.com.au/22 checklist, which is my how to start a blog 22-point checklist, if you're interested in that at all. But otherwise, I would love to chat with you over in my Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group. If you're not a member, then come over there and join. And I will see you next week on the podcast for episode 212. In the meantime, let's hang out and get social on social. You will, of course, find me on Instagram, Facebook, and my favorite, LinkedIn. And like I said earlier in the podcast, if you have a subject or a guest that you would like to see on this podcast, please do get in touch. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can email me, jen@jendonovan.com.au. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.